Everyone has a story of where they came from, where they're at, what they're about, what their struggles were, and so much more. In my podcast, The Mindful Experiment, that's what I dive into when I interview people of understanding where they came, where they started, where they became through their journey to get to where they are today. My journey has been no different. It wasn't an all blissful experience. It wasn't something that was absolutely amazing. There was struggle along the way. And one of the most frustrating things for me as a chiropractor and an entrepreneur was that I was listening to all the greats, and it's not that they weren't giving great advice or anything like that. Their intentions were all great and all that too. What it ended up coming down to, and what my roadblocks were, is I was listening to the best. I was studying self help, personal development, the best in each professions and entrepreneurial professions, who the entrepreneurs were following. I was trying to study everything. I was being told what success was, right? Read 80 to 120 books a year. Done. Do this in the morning for having a morning ritual. Done. Do this to be this way. Done. Do this to do this. Done. And I just kept doing and doing and doing and doing. And I had growth, but it was slow growth, but it was frustrating. I was getting burned out from all the things that I was doing. And I felt like there was something missing. And my gut kept telling me, this is not how life should be. This isn't the methods or the methodologies of how things work to a certain degree. And I felt like there was always something missing. And I always felt it was like the littlest thing that was my big breakthrough coming. And I didn't understand that until I stopped doing the aspects. The doing part drove me down to where I created such a negative in finances to where I had to go bankrupt. And it took me a year to make that decision. It wasn't easy. My ego was fighting me on it. I thought I was a failure and all these different things because I grew up with a limited money consciousness or limited negative belief systems to money. And it was one of the things where success was determined by money, right? Success, when you look at people marketing, they always push numbers. And in chiropractic, they do this all the time. I've seen it in entrepreneurs, right? You see the videos of people with Lambos and the beautiful home. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that, but they make it seem like everything is about money. And if you have money, then you have success. And if you have success, then that determines all your happiness, which we all know not to be true. And so I started to say, okay, what is some under factors? I started looking at the things I knew about, which was the brain, functional neurology. I started looking at things I studied early on in my career, which was energy medicine and different energy healing techniques, universal laws, spiritual laws. I started looking at quantum physics and I started saying, there has to be truth in here. My left brain was telling me I'm very left brain dominant. So it's like, systems and procedures and patterns, I'm very good at that. So I was like, okay, I got that, but I know there's right brain stuff. And I need to connect these two worlds. And so I started to do that. And what I found out through my journey is the beingness that was there, because what I wanted was huge financial growth. I wanted to be successful. And I thought that was just money. And then eventually I started putting things together and I got there and I wasn't happy. There was a huge void in me. And I've talked to many successful entrepreneurs who went through that same journey where they got to where they thought success was. And then all of a sudden, they found out they were programmed. It was cultural programming. It was people telling us it could be your upbringing and so many other areas. And so it was frustrating because then it's like, I got there, I'm burnt out, my body has barely any energy left, and I'm taking care of it. I mean, I'm in great shape and everything, but I was just beating myself down and driving myself on E. And it was one of those things where I had to make a pivotal change. And I started to throw out everything I knew. All I focused was on the being. I studied spiritual, went back to using spiritual laws. And I said, here's how I'm going to live my life. Here are the universal laws. Here are spiritual laws. Here's how the brain works and functional neurology and how it all aligns. And I started looking at laws of nature to try to get some more points to understand how can I connect all this and start being on the beingness. So I did that. And the first thing I did was focus on my vision. A lot of times people, when I do the biggest thing I'll tell you right now, all my coaching programs that I do and people, when I work one-on-one, it's vision first. And a lot of people think, well, that's simple. That's easy. But what I found out through coaching for the last 2 years is most people don't really have a solid vision. They don't have a crystal clear vision, and they don't have a vision with substance. When I call substance, that's emotions, and it takes your soul into it and so much more. And I've learned over time that I had to go back and revisit what was my vision, what was the substances, the tie to what I wanted to create for my life, the legacy I wanted to live, my soul's purpose, and so much more. And then I took it from there and I started making changes. And I started to learn that I didn't have to do as much. It was so amazing because when I got to the being side of everything, then all of a sudden my doing became easier. I started to work less, which was against everything I was told. especially being a family wellness chiropractor, a pediatric chiro. I was told you have to have these hours, you have to work these weekends, you have to do this. There was all these halves to it. And I was like, that's not true, because if I'm truly a creator based on universal intelligence and all the spiritual laws and different literatures and scriptures and all these things, I create. And if I create, then I can create whatever role I desire in the experience of what I want. So what did I do? Cut my hours. A lot of people thought that was wrong. I had patients that got upset, and all these different things that happened. But it was part of the turbulence I had to go through in trusting this process, because I wanted to create a practice a certain way. I wanted to be a doctor in a certain way, in my programming, in my coding, in my influence of what I want to present it to the world. And when I started to utilize these principles, then all of a sudden success was there. And I worked less. I was less stressed. I was actually a little happier. And all of a sudden, I had time to focus on other passions of mine, because I'm very passionate. I have a lot of things I want to do for the world and share with this world before my time's up. And it was one of the things where I started to implement. Did I make more money? Yeah, I did. Double my profits? Done it a couple times. I actually tripled one year, right? So I've done this work. This is why I can tell entrepreneurs, I can tell chiropractors, hey, I'll teach you how to double your profits within 1 year. Now, some may say, why can't you do 6 months? I could, but I want to do 1 year, because there's a whole system that we have to go through. A lot of times you have to unprogram what you've been taught, and that takes time. And we got to build the systems and build the neural pathways and the habits and all these other things to get you to that point. And that's what it took for me. And now I look at my life, and I live a life that I truly enjoy. It's dictated by me. Yes, are there times where I look at how other chiropractors are doing better than me in certain realms? But yeah, I compare a lot. I'll be honest, that's what I do. I used to do that a lot more. I've gotten better now to where I just compare to myself. And that's something I teach too. Compare to nobody except yourself. Because at the end of the day, all you're really doing is you want to be better every single year. And if you're getting better every single year, that's a thumbs up. And just continue to do the work. Because like I heard from Les Brown, he shared in a story, I think it was in a book, all you can do is all you can do, right? But you have to make sure you're doing all that you can do. And so through that journey in my life, that all of a sudden transformed me to be where I'm at today. And I'm living proof that not only that I learned how to double my profits and become more successful, not only did I learn how to work less, not only did I learn how to have more time with my family, but I make more impact in my community. What I also did was my marriage got way better than I ever could imagine. My depth of a relationship with my wife is the deepest I've ever experienced in my entire life. It was a dream when I was a kid, and I have that now. Do we have our ups and downs? Of course, but there's a huge, deep interconnection. There's an energy between us that no matter what, we're there for each other. My mental state, my mindset has been beyond growth. I challenge my mind all the time. I'm always challenging myself to be better, and I have visions and goals that align with that. Also physically, I'm challenging myself every year to get better physically. And I had some hardships I went through in 2017 where I thought I was going to have to walk away from the profession, to stop practicing. But thankfully, I got through that, and I've been stronger ever since. And I made that my mark to say I will never get back there again. And it was because of all the burnout. It was because of all the doing. It was because of what I was told to do, and it wasn't working anyhow. Or it did get to that point, and I had an empty void still. But not only that, I also got more purposeful on my mission in life, my mission in business, my mission in my everything that I want to create. And I got crystal clear how to create that to be more purposeful, because I want to feel like I'm giving back to the world and serving at the highest level I can possibly can while making an impact and being an influence. Right. And then there's money, which money has been growing every year. And I've gotten better with money consciousness. I've interviewed people, I've read things, and it's just amazing how that has my mindset on it has massively shifted from where I was 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And the key thing is this is all that I call the 5 elements of life. And it's something that massively has transformed for me. I didn't come from money. I didn't have money. I didn't have money when I started my own practice. I went $20-something thousand negative. I put it all on credit cards just to serve, just to be able to start my vision, start my path, because I invested in myself that hard. And, I look back and I would never, ever change that. It was absolutely an amazing process, and I learned a lot. But I've learned also too, through this journey, how I'm the creator of my reality. And this is what I teach, and this is my story, and this is what I've been working on. And now I finally put it into a formula. I put it into a process to help the individual. I'm not saying it's a cookie cutter process, because it isn't. In chiropractic, we work on individual people. Their health and how they heal and what their journey is individual to them, right? You can give some ideas of, hey, this is what I kind of experienced. Here's some commonalities, but it's an individual experience. And that's the same thing when I work with people. It's an individual experience, right? There's tools and tips and tricks that I share that will help create this individual experience. But then how do we focus on that to maximize that, to help you with your goals, your vision, all these different things? And this is the joy I have doing every single day that has been a blessing outside of practicing in my office. So that's my story and my journey. I wanted to create this so you can just understand that this is where I've went through. This is not something I just read and I'm coming out with. I lived this. I went through this. I've been through the darkness. I've even wrote a book on it called A Walk in the Dark, talking about the struggles that I kind of shared here and what was the beauty behind it. How did the darkness be my best friend and so much more? And these are the things I teach in clients with in so many realms, because we have to understand that everything's all good. And there's things always working for us and love is always shining towards us. But the key is, are we open to it? And are we realizing that? We're shifting in an era, in my opinion, where, when it comes to my story and so forth, what I've learned is that we're shifting away from the doingness and we're going to the beingness. And the beingness is everything, because it makes the doing a piece of cake almost. And then it lets you have what it is you desire. So I hope you enjoyed this story of my story. And if you found this inspiration, if you found this like, wow, I'm there, I've been there, I am there, this is where I'm at right now. Hey, why don't you DM me and say, set up call? That way we'll set up a discovery call. I get to know more about you. I'll give you a roadmap. I'll give you also some action steps. And this is all free. It's a 30-minute call. And that's what I'll be giving to you. If this resonates with you, DM me, set up call, and let's get connected. Appreciate you.